She hates my guts.
She is so cute, but she's crying too much. Corona is too noisy, sometimes too much.
Let's move on. Let's move the on.
Is it just me, or was everyone being a little bit too nice to each other? Almost like they're all friends. Almost like this is scripted AF. You guys, we got another tell-all, and do you guys know that clip from Aretha Franklin being like, gowns, gowns, beautiful gowns, when it comes to describing someone singing and you don't want to insult them? That's how I feel about Shaun Robinson and these tell-alls. Like, does she even watch the show? I mean, there were a few bombshells in this part 1 that I'm like, are you going to expand in part 2? I hope. Let's get into it. Hi guys, welcome back to Nikki Faces Reality. We are here to discuss 90 Day Fiance The Other Way, the tell-all part 1. Yes, I'm recording in my room. You guys, it's just that kind of day. It's just that kind of week. And it's only Tuesday, right? The girl is tired. I hope this is picking up the sound. I've never recorded with like holding my microphone. So I hope this works out for you and I both, honestly. So there are a few couples that I covered and there are couples that I did not. I did not cover Sarper and Shekinah. They get on my nerves. Literally, the sight of them is just, I simply cannot. So I don't cover them. I didn't cover Josh and Lily because I find Josh repulsive. So I simply cannot. I can't. This particular episode was really Corona&Ingi heavy, really Tata&James heavy. I will add the timestamps. But for the most part, I feel like everything is bleeding into each other. Guys, we're going to get straight into it. So setting the scene, we are in New York. Usually for The Other Way, not a lot of people show up. It's usually just the American. But in this one, we have all types of people showing up, with the exception of Statler and Dempsey. They are a couple that I covered, but Statler has made waves online. She hasn't literally shut up. Shaun says that they're not there because they're broken up. That's not the real reason, because obviously Ingi and Corona are broken up, spoiler alert, and they're there. So like, don't look at me and tell me that 2 + 2 = 5. You know what I mean? The producers could have come up with something better than that. As always, we get the entrances, we get to see, you know, people mingling in the green room. Automatically, Corona, you know, she comes in rainbowed out and she's like, screw Ingi, I don't care about him. She makes it abundantly clear that he fumbled her and that he's phony. And she just keeps calling him names. And like, is it deserved? Possibly. I also just feel like if he's foolish for fumbling you, you're foolish for not getting a clue when he was literally showing you that he didn't like you, you know? But I'm like, Corona, you were out here screaming, my man, my man, my man. You were saying that this is your person. And now you're going to turn around and say that he's awful. It's like, which one is it? Were you lying then or are you lying now? But she won't stop talking about how dirty he did her. And I guess she's collecting allies because Shaun is there and he's like, yeah, you know, he's going to get it when we get in there. And that leads me to my quick transition on Joanne and Shaun. Yes, Shaun is there. His travel visa ban must have been lifted. We don't know for how long. We don't know if we'll see them again with the regular 90 Day Fiance because he kind of hinted that he's not going to stay here for good in this trip. I feel like the unspoken part is I'm coming back on that K1. We don't really focus on them in this episode. We're going to focus on them, I think, in part 2 when they bring out her mom and they discuss just the horridness that was their elopement. So we'll mostly just hear his ad-libs throughout the episode. We see James arrive to the venue and he's like, I'm just feeling really vulnerable and alone. And then they pan the camera and Tata's next to him. Like, sir, you feel alone, but your wife is right next to you? Okay. I was shocked to see her come back after all. But here's the thing, Tata's gonna look depressed whether they're in Indonesia, whether they're in America, it really doesn't matter. And we're gonna get to that in a sec. Okay, you guys, so now we're gonna get to the meat of things, their actual segments. Let's start with Tata&James. Shaun is like, Tata, how long have you been here? She's been here 4 months. She's miserable. It's just as hard. And I will say that throughout the episode, people have been adding their 2 cents on things. And I think when they were discussing Josh and Lily, James let out that because of their financial issues, it really affected their sex life. And they apparently, the whole time they were in Indonesia, were only intimate like 4 times, which is rare for them. Throughout the episode, he definitely sprinkled signs that it's like they're together, but they're holding on by a thread kind of thing. But we find out that she finally came because he promised. James finally gave in to bringing her sister to America. And everyone is like, why would you do that? Your sister hates him. And he clearly does not like her. She is literally bringing the drama into her household. This girl is never gonna stop crying. I mean, we've seen it all season. Tata cannot form a sentence without crying. And I hate to give him credit, but Sarper's like, she's so cute, but she won't stop crying. Like, how do you get through anything? And I hate that it's Sarper, but he said that the way that she cries, it's almost like an addiction. And I thought about that and I was like, you're right. She's addicted to the attention that her tears bring. She's addicted to the enabling that happens. And it's obviously happened all her life with her family. And now James is continuing it. So yeah, I was like, Sarper, if only you used that wisdom for yourself. Anyway, they bring out Angel, the devil herself, her sister. John is like, do you trust him? Do you like him? Do you feel like you've gotten to know him better? And Angel is like, why would I do that? Get to know him. Why would I do that? You are loud and wrong, because how could you be like, oh, I need to trust him, and then take zero initiative to build that bridge? Angel is flat out saying that she doesn't care to get to know him. She doesn't care to do the work. And so I'm just like, Tata, this is the person that you want in your house? She's caused rifts before in your marriage on purpose, maliciously, and she's gonna do it again. And so Sean and other cast members are like, Tata, do you not see what's going on? This is not a good idea. And she's like, I just want them to work it out. And like, I feel bad for her because I get that, you know, she's homesick. She wants to be able to talk to someone in her language. But baby girl, you're gonna have to be content with FaceTime, because this girl is gonna come here and F up your whole life. She looks like she has zero remorse. And so there are cast members suggesting that Tata should cut off her sister, and I don't agree with that. I think that that's a little far. I do think that she needs to set harder boundaries. And I also thought that it was like telling that Shekinah would suggest that, because Shekinah has cut off everyone, including her daughter, if we're being honest. So, not the best person to take advice from. But also, Tata says that she has cut off her sister before. Remember, she cut her off for 2 years. So Tata, you cut her off for 2 years. And she still has learned not a thing, because she's still acting like this with your husband. And the thing is, there are people that I love that I don't love their partners. But because I love my friend, my cousin, whatever, I'm going to step to them with respect. I don't have to be overly kind, but I'm going to treat them with respect. I'm going to take interest in the things that they care about, because my person cares about them and it affects them. But her sister is actively being like, James could literally burn in front of me and I don't care because he took you away from me. Grow up. She says that he didn't ask for permission and that that's something that they do in their family because she's older. Tata, if that was important to you, you set the tone. There is no marriage if you don't do X, Y, and Z. But you didn't enforce that. So you mentioning it once to James, I don't really care about it. Also, we find out that Tata told him to ask for permission, but this is after this girl had spread rumors about him. If I were James, I too would be like, F your tradition. I'm not gonna ask you for nothing. Who do you think you are? After you freaking dragged my reputation. I know that's petty. I know that's not great. But you don't get to ask for respect and disrespect me in that way. So again, I'm just like, Tata, worms for brains, all of you. But James is no angel in this. And it doesn't help that he has broken literally every promise that he's ever made. So that one is just like added onto the list. And so Sean doesn't press the issue. Instead, she pivots to James and she's like, so James, you don't want kids. Angel, how do you feel about that? How is she gonna feel? She hates him. And she's like, you know, my sister wanted kids. Why would you say that you wanted it and you don't? And James is like, I did once, but then, you know, COVID happened and it's just not a good time to bring kids into the world. I think his answer is BS. I think that he never wanted kids. I think that he wanted Tata though. And I think that he was like, let me just say yes to everything and deal with the consequences later when she's stuck with me because she's already in love with me. I don't think there's anything wrong with not wanting kids. I think that it's wrong to hold people hostage in situations that they don't want to be in. So Tata saying she wants kids and James being like, I don't want kids. There's a simple answer. And I know people are not going to like that because marriage should be taken seriously, and it should. But this is what happens when people aren't honest when they get into shit. And this is one of those things where I can't defend James because I do feel like it was manipulative of him to get into this knowing that he didn't want kids. Because Tata comes from a culture where when you're married, you're married. There's no out. And so she's tearfully being like, you know, if he doesn't want kids, I'm going to be sad, but I'm not going to leave him. And he knew that that would be her stance. I honestly don't think that that is emotionally regulated to deal with life. She definitely is not ready to be a mother. But I also would hate to see the person that she's going to evolve into as a scorned woman that never got the kids she wanted, you know? And that fury is going to be against James. I think they're better off not together. She really thinks that he could change his mind. And that's a tough one. But anyway, they go back to the angel thing, and James has already started the process. And everyone's like, cancel it immediately. And I think what's scary is that that travel visa can be open for like 6 months. And he's going to have to, you know, write it in, like what the request is for. Tata's going to make him keep it for 6 months. And I need him to put his foot down and say, this devil cannot stay in my house for 6 months. I know it sounds awful because this is her family. But she doesn't have a buffer. And Tata clearly can't stand up to Angel. So I just feel like she just put the nail in the coffin that is her marriage by allowing her sister in there. The Angel's like, Tata, are you happy? And Tata's like, yeah, I'm happy with James. I'm just not happy where we are. And James starts crying because he's like, you know, I'm happy with her anywhere. So it breaks my heart that she's not happy. And it's like, is Tata ever really happy though? Is she? I think there's something going on there. I really do. Really, you guys, the whole time I was watching their segment, I was like, grow up. Tata, you were useless in Indonesia. This is your home country. You did nothing. James, you are also useless. You didn't learn the language. You didn't go with the proper visa so that you can work there. Both of you just plop yourself in places and just hope that things will work. That's not how life works. You're not going to be young and scrappy forever. Y'all are just young. They're not even scrappy at this point. So it's just like, grow up, get a grip. You want to make things happen, make them happen. She's so miserable and she's going to bring her miserable sister into that house. James is about to pick up every work shift possible. He's going to be like, get me out of this house. It's wild. At this point, they're both crying on set. They're like, I love you. I just want everyone to get along. Tata's like, forgive and forget. Baby girl, this man signed up for the visa for your sister. I think that you should be having this convo with her. In the words of Jessica, anyways, let's move on to Corona and Ingi. This one cracked me up, okay? So Sean is like, Corona, midwifery school, question mark? And Corona's like, yes, I am in there. She's back in the States. She's in school. She's like, this is the best thing I could have ever done. I was saying that since episode 1 because I was like, why is this girl going to Iceland for Frankenstein? But she makes it clear her and Ingi are nothing. She's like, I gave him everything and he just left me. Ingi's in the screen, and I need to mention, you guys, from the moment Corona entered that set, she flipped this guy off. She made it clear, she was like, I don't F with you. You are nothing to me. Ingi, who I will say has been consistent. He has the same doofy smile. He just has like not a care in the world, happy-go-lucky. And I know that that's his default, but in this episode, I feel like he was laying it on thick to antagonize Corona, because Sean is like, so what's, the status of your relationship? And she's like, he's nothing. Like, I don't care. And Sean is like, yeah, I noticed you didn't say hi to him. And she's like, why would I? And that's when Ingi's like, hi, Corona, and being like a jerk. And so at this point, Sean is like, you're scum. You're lucky you're not here. You know what you're doing. You know what you're doing. And Ingi's like, what am I doing? I'm not a jerk. I'm not. And Sean is like, you're lucky you're not here because you're a punk. And I'm like, Sean, are you and Corona besties? Like, what is this about? Maybe he just feels away because he has a daughter and he's like, how dare you? I've said it from the start that men like this are cowards. They awaken love in a woman's heart only to then like ditch it, not water it. That's a coward move. And I think we all talked about it, that we didn't feel like their energies match. And I didn't want to judge it just off of energy because I know that people express love differently. But I also just felt like their level of commitment said a lot. I didn't expect him to be as intense as she was, but I feel like we didn't really see devotion from him until the end when he knew that he was about to lose her. She was about to come back to America. So I'm just like, I see how both of y'all are guilty, but in terms of being guilty of faking the love, Ingi, that's you. But we finally get a little context to what actually happened between them. So he says he came to America. It sounds like he came to America twice. He says he was head over heels in Iceland. I didn't see that. Did you? He says he was madly in love, and so he came to America and he's thinking, I'm gonna see my girl. He shows up to the airport and she's done gentle parenting. She is a completely different person, and he didn't like it. They don't really say what happened, and I have a theory. We saw him give that speech to Corona saying that, that he wants the same thing as her, that he wants her to stay there with him. They've come so far, yada, yada, yada. He made a lot of promises. I have a feeling that Corona was like, hey, I'm gonna hold you to that. You say you want marriage within a year. I don't see you making moves. I have a feeling that that's what happened. She was holding him accountable, and he was probably like, whoa, you're rushing me. Who are you? I think it was a mix of both. But anyway, he's like, yeah, we're here. I'm telling my family that I'm going to move to America. We're talking K1 visa. And things just changed. And I suggested therapy, and Corona's like, no, actually, I suggested therapy. And apparently they just never agreed on it. So they didn't do it. And he ultimately came back to Iceland. And he says it like begrudgingly, like he didn't want to have to leave, but she left him no choice. You guys, he's like, this is the most difficult thing I've ever done in my life. And I'm done. And he just gets up and walks off. Literally, you could see that he walks out of the room. And everyone on set is like, hello? And he's done. He said his piece and he's done. I have a theory. First theory, he was about to cry, he didn't want to cry on camera, and he walks off, right? Or two, he really was faking the funk and he's like, I've committed to my contractual obligations. I'm done. I don't know. Hopefully we get a little more in part 2. But everyone is stunned. Corona's like, wow, what a coward, what a bee. These two were like oil and water. They really didn't mix. I'm surprised they lasted this long. But I hate to see people hurt. But I live for the drama. So, yeah, that was it for them this episode. Next week, though, we're going to get Joanne and her mother. And her mother's fighting Shekinah. They're going to get the 3rd degree on the fact that they eloped and hid it from their kids and all of that mess. Also, we're going to see Tata claiming that I think James cheated. He says that his eyes wandered. Okay. But yeah, you guys, I just wanted to touch base with you. Thank you so much for watching. Do let me know your thoughts in the comments. And if you're new here and you've stayed to the end, hi, I'm Nikki. I do commentary videos, sometimes in my living room, sometimes in my room. Yeah, if you like to hear someone yap about this, do hit the subscribe button. Thank you for bearing with me. This video is all over the place, but like I said, it's just been that kind of time. I'm going through it, you guys. I'm so tired. I've girl bossed too close to the sun, but it's fine. It's fine. I'm gonna see Wicked tomorrow. Are you guys seeing Wicked? That's not 90 Day related, but let me know if you're gonna see Wicked. Bye.